Hello everyone and welcome back to another Stormworks video. In today's tutorial we are going to be showing you how to build a speed hold system for your boat here in Stormworks. As always, we'll go over the components that you need to build the system. Along with that, we'll also show you how to wire it up and also set it up for your own needs. So that all said, let's go ahead and get started. So we're back here in the workbench. Now you can see I've loaded up the boat that we used for one of our tutorials a couple of weeks back. The first thing we need to do is add in a toggle button. Now this toggle button is going to be able to switch between our manual control of the throttle itself, and then it's going to be able to switch between that and then also our hold speed system. So first off, as I said, grab that in. Right, I'm going to name it hold speed. Fantastic. Along with that, we also need a way to enter in our desired speed. Now you could use a throttle if you wanted to. You could also use a small keypad or a large one. It's up to you. I'm going to be using a small keypad for the purpose of this tutorial. So I'm just going to go ahead, place it down. I'm going to write then desired speed, and that's going to be in knots. So once we have that down, pretty simple. All we have to do is obviously link this up to some logic that will go ahead and control the throttle. Now the logic we're going to be using is the PID. Now pretty much go ahead, grab it. I'm just going to place it somewhere in the hull of the ship itself. Once we have that, we obviously need to turn the PID on. Now that's where our toggle button or our toggle button comes into effect. We're going to be linking that up to the actual PID itself. Then the next part is going to be taking that number that we enter in. So we say, hey, we want to go 20 knots. We are going to link that to our set point of the PID. Our process variable is going to be the speed. Now remember, we added our exponent block, or our function block over here, which is converting the meters per second into knots. So we're just going to be taking the knots coming out of that block into here. So now we're reading it in knots instead of meters per second. So that's all. Then we obviously have our output for our PID. Now output for our PID is obviously wanting to go into the throttles of the engines. However, if we go ahead and place those now, we are overwriting our manual controls. Now to get that sorted, what we need to do is just simply put down a simple numerical switch box. So when we go ahead and press that toggle button, which will get linked up now, press this. When it's off, we are going to be using our manual controls, the W and S from the chair. When it's on, we are going to be using the PID controls, and then the output is then going to go to the throttles. So you can switch between the two systems, either manual or the hold speed system. It's up to us at the end of the day. Then that's pretty much how you go ahead and configure it. Now, the last part that we need to go ahead and do is actually configure the PID itself. Now, this is where it comes into a little bit of detail, where you have to play around with these settings to get the best outcome for yourself. Now, depending on how big your boat, how big the propellers, how big the engines, this is going to vary. So I usually recommend taking a little digital display and actually connecting that to the output of the PID. So what you do is you enter in your different desired settings for it, and then you can actually read to see what the output of the PID is doing, whether it's reacting too slowly, reacting too much, and then you can then go and configure it from there on forth. So I'm going to simply go ahead and connect that up to the PID. Go ahead and connect that up to the PID. So go right there. Now the settings for the PID, I'm going to start with a 0.1. Integral gain is going to be 0.001, and then iterative gain is going to be 0.1. Now, as I said, we'll play around with these settings. We'll see how it reacts. If it reacts too slowly or reacts too quickly, we'll obviously have to change that. And I have covered the PID in a little bit more detail in a couple of other videos. But however, we'll test that system, see if it works, and then go from there. So next off, we obviously need to go ahead and just connect our electricity to everything. So I'm just going to go ahead, connect it up to the toggle button, the small keypad, and then also up to our actual digital display that we've already gone and just put right there. That's all the electricity we need. We can actually go ahead and spawn this in now for the first time. So go ahead, jump on here. All we need to do is start the boat like we would usually do. So I'm just going to go ahead, press 1, get the boat going. So you can see we got the boat going. It's now obviously going whatever speed we give it on our throttle on our chair itself. Now we can go into our desired speed, say, hey, we want to go 20 knots. We can then go click our hold speed system. You'll then see that our speed starts to drop and then should more or less stabilize obviously close to 20. You can see now it's sitting around 16. And then that's our output from our PID. So our PID is currently telling our engines to go at 0.2 6 throttle currently to maintain that current speed. As I said just now, we'll have to go back into the workbench and actually alter that, so we get a little bit of a higher output coming from this, so that our speed actually gets up to about 20. You can see there it's jumping 18, 19. It's getting very close. It's getting extremely close to 20. But what we'll do is we'll up the P on that and see if that makes a little bit of a difference on there, and if we can maintain a little bit closer of a number to 20. As you can see, we're really close to it at the moment. So what we'll do, we'll jump back into the workbench, alter that pit a little bit now, and see if we get any difference. I'm just going to go jump back in and configure it to, let's go 0.3 and see if that makes much of a difference. And then we can go ahead and jump it back and test it out again. Get the engine started. Let's go to 20 again, and then we'll go hold speed system, and we'll see our speed going down to about 18. Let's turn a little bit, give it a little bit of variance. And now it's sitting around that mark. This is still about 0.3. So we can continue to alter that. You can see it's jumping up to the 19 again. We can play around with that as much as we want until we have to obviously all we have to do is fine tune it now. But I'm not going to cover the fine tuning of that in this tutorial. It takes a little bit of time to do that. But that's pretty much about it, guys. Very simple, very easy how to do it. As I said, you could use a throttle lever instead of a keypad. Just remember to go into the settings of the throttle and change it from 0 to say 100, for example, or 0 to 50, whatever your max speed is, and then you can actually use the throttle then to control your speed if you wanted to. So that's pretty much about it. As always, comment below what you'd like to see in any future videos, and also any other tutorials that you'd like to see in any upcoming videos. While you're there, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button for any of my future content. And finally, thank you for watching. I hope you found it somewhat informative and useful and entertaining as always, and we'll see you in the next one.